What is going on, IF Warriors? It's your boy Edward V, and today we're going to talk about common weight loss mistakes that everyone's doing. And these common mistakes are not just compressed to the intermittent fasting lifestyle. This is for everyone. This is a broader look at people who are trying to lose weight but are doing certain things that are impeding their weight loss. And we're going to go ahead and break that down in this video. Stay tuned. So jumping right into the video, let's go ahead and talk about one of the first things that I think is incredibly important that people miss when they're trying to lose weight. Sometimes people just focus on the weight loss part of it and do not focus on the muscle preservation part. Preserving muscle is really important. Why? Because although you're losing weight from being at a caloric deficit, you're also bringing muscle tissue down with you. So you aren't just bringing body fat, you're also bringing muscle tissue down. And what you want to do is you want to preserve that muscle as much as you can. Now, do you have to go to the gym? No, but at least trying to do the same weights that you were doing before you started losing weight is incredibly important for preserving the lean tissue that you have. No matter what you do, if you're dieting for a certain amount of time, if you're trying to be at a caloric deficit for a certain amount of time, muscle tissue can reduce, because being at a caloric surplus is one of the things that elicit the protein synthesis. So removing that off the table, since you're now at a caloric deficit, is going to affect the muscle tissue that you have. Now, there are certain scenarios where you can lose weight and still build muscle at the same time. And there's actually a broad scope of people that can do that. People who are new to lifting weights, people who have been lifting weights but then stopped and then now are going back to it, people who are overweight. So there are a lot of elements there that can have you actually be at a caloric deficit and still build muscle at the same time. But if you don't fall into that category and you're just dieting for a long time and you're not doing exercise, you're going to sacrifice some of your muscles. You have to send the signals to your body that you want to preserve muscle tissue. If not, your body will feel that it is unnecessary, but still carries energy. So it'll use that energy to try to balance itself out. Your body's always looking for a place of homeostasis. So it will see that you aren't using muscle, and instead of just tackling body fat to kind of spread it out, it will start to break down some muscle tissue. So you want to make sure that you're always giving the signals that you care about your muscles. The next thing that I want to talk about is the aggressive calorie deficit. Now, aggressive calorie deficit works against you because of the fact that you are creating this really intense metabolic adaptation to the energy that you're giving your body, and then it makes it harder for you to continue to lose weight once your body adapts. Like I said before, your body's always looking for a level of homeostasis. So if you reduce your calories aggressively for a long time and your body was comfortably working with all of the calories that you were giving it before, now your body has to find a way to be efficient with the current calories that you're providing it. So then it starts to reduce energy output as much as it can so that it can reach that homeostasis. So what ends up happening? Then you have to go even lower and lower and lower to combat that metabolic adaptation. So if you're going aggressively low, it's going to be very tough and taxing for you to keep going lower from that already aggressive number. So try to make sure to bring down your calories not too aggressively. Let's say your calorie intake is 3,000 calories for maintenance, then bring it down to about 500 or 600 calories. Don't bring it down to 800 calories per day or 700 calories per day. That's aggressively low. Going to 1,200, that's aggressively low. You want to make sure that you're not so far off that when it starts to adapt, you yourself can't adapt to the adaptation that's coming from the adaptive thermogenesis. So I hope that sound like a tongue twister. So you don't want to go too low. And it also bounces off of the last point of exercising. You want to make sure you're maintaining muscle, because your primary driver, the thing that generates the most energy output that's within your control is your muscle tissue. That is the primary driver for your metabolic rate. So the more muscle you have, the more energy output you have. And that is a direct opposition to your metabolic adaptation. Another thing that still kind of connects to this overall aspect of protecting metabolism is not consuming enough protein. You want to make sure that you are getting a lot of protein when you are in a cut. One thing that I definitely always make it a point to do is that when I'm cutting weight, I am always increasing my protein intake while still being at a caloric deficit. And the reason that I do this is because I'm trying to give my body the most bullet points for protein synthesis whenever I'm taking one bullet point away. So because I'm not at a caloric surplus, that's one protein synthesis bullet point. Because I'm removing that, I want to make sure that at least my protein intake is high enough. And all you have to do is make sure that you're taking about 0.7 to about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And you'll be in a relatively good area for you to make sure that you're still giving the amino acids to your muscle tissue so that it can work with that while you're in a caloric deficit. And as I mentioned, there are a lot of people out there that can still build muscle and lose weight at the same time based on the scientific studies that we have and based on the specific scenario or the specific body composition that they have. And all of this helps you continue to lose fat because you're continuing to rev that metabolism because you are protecting muscle tissue or building muscle tissue while losing weight. So if you haven't figured it out, muscle tissue preservation is incredibly important when you are losing weight. Now, another thing that a lot of people do is they are abandoning their diet or protocol or calorie deficit or whatever they're doing to lose weight. They're abandoning it for the weekend. They're abandoning it for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And if you look at this chart right here, with the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday being the last 3 here, being a representation of how much calories you can actually take in during that time of breaking your regimen. With all the other days, you're focusing heavily on your regimen. You can still outweigh all of that work if you go too hard on the weekends. And a lot of people do this. A lot of people compartmentalize all of these days and think that, well, I did well for 4 days, so because I did well for 4 days, doing bad for 3 days doesn't matter. But your calorie deficit is not compartmentalized by one day. It's in the course of a week, in the course of a month, in the course of a year, in the course of years. So calorie deficits are continuous. It's always there. So if you increase your calories aggressively for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then do your normal workout and calorie deficit for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you can still end up at a surplus at the end of the week and lose no weight and actually gain weight. So you have to make sure that you are conscious. It's not to say that you can, you have to do your calorie deficit and workouts or every single day. If you don't want to, you don't have to, but you have to be conscious that you're not superseding or going incredibly overboard where now you created a calorie maintenance level or just even worse, a calorie surplus level. So these are some of the mistakes that a lot of people are doing when they're trying to lose weight, but not understanding why it isn't working. Sometimes you have to enact a certain level of self-awareness and realize, are you going too over the top on the weekends? Are you not taking in enough protein? Are you not even measuring your macronutrients when you are doing a cut? Are you just caring about the calorie deficit to the point where you don't even care how aggressively low your calorie intake is? Are you not exercising to preserve the muscle tissue that you already have? And in some instances, build muscle while losing weight, all of which can help you continue to lose weight. So hopefully this video has helped you guys. And of course, I want to thank my patrons from my Patreon. And I'm going to go ahead and put their names right up here. of course, as always, guys, I'll see you on Wednesday for another FAQ. Peace!